G'day viewers, my name is Michael. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and welcome to this special edition of Single Racer. Now, this video is the second in a three-part series, and this video is for beginners who are new to sim racing or haven't yet learnt the Nordschleife track. And when I refer to beginner, I don't mean it as an insult. All I'm referring to is that it was only in February this year, 2017, that I started to learn the track myself. So these are the beginner mistakes that I actually made, all the points that sort of helped me improve over time to the point where I managed to get into the top 20 of the RSR live timing. Now, in the beginner video, we'll avoid all the extra things like curb hopping and things like that. All I want to do is run through how to best approach the initial lap and improve your times. And if you haven't seen my first video yet, I'd recommend you seeing that first, as it throws a few guidelines out there to help set you up for this video. Now, the first thing is I deliberately set myself here. This is the tourist version of the track. So this is the one that you can legitimately go to Germany and pay to actually drive this version of the track. And you can't quite see it here, but there's a bridge a little bit further down, and that's where your hot lap actually starts from. So even though you get a counter from here, as you go under the bridge, it'll set itself back to 0, and that's where the lap starts from. So one of the first tips that I recommend, and if you choose a car to learn this in, I recommend this car. This is the Mazda MX-5 Cup car, and it's great because it has enough power to be fast, but is more controllable. If you go to the smaller brother of this car, the Mazda Miata, it can tend to be too slidey and a bit harder to control. All the normal road cars can be a bit of a struggle because they've only got the road tyres. So I do recommend this car. And so the first tip I have for you is actually exiting the gate. So if you've done this plenty of times before, you will already know that there's a speed limiter here as you exit. So it doesn't matter now how much I press the accelerator, I will only reach the top speed that the limiter lets me. But if I come out on this little S bit around the gates in first gear, and I then go to take off, if you've ever done that, then what I recommend is actually doing that in second gear. It just tends to help put less torque on the back wheels, and as you press the accelerator to take off, you stop that spinning. Now, you still have to be careful, of course, but it's just a tip to start in second gear coming through those gates, because don't forget, your time won't start till you go under the bridge. So that's just the first tip that I have that helped me a lot coming out of those gates. So let's now do the proper hot lap. And so now welcome to the beginner hot lap. Now, when we start off, you'll be seeing this screen a lot because I'll be pausing and using slow motion to show you particular features, but just put up with it if you can. I've left the speedo and my pedals so that you can see what I'm doing. So now we'll head off with the hot lap. And like I said, my first tip is I always go out in second gear. And this is just so that when I do this little S bit, I can immediately take off as fast as I can. Still being careful, of course, but it just helps me take off that bit quicker. And as we go under the bridge now, the time will start. So this is pretty straightforward. You know, you just want to take it as straight as you can. And so as we approach here, we want to come from a reasonable distance on the left hand side, and the idea of that is so that you can straighten up that particular curve. So I see the most people, when they're racing online, slide off into this fence, including myself. I've done it plenty of times. So there you want to come out from the left-hand side and straighten that up as much as possible, and that will hopefully help you stop the sliding to the left. It just makes it as straight line as possible. Now, the other tip that I have is that when I first started, I struggled to figure out at what point to turn here for this next right. So what I recommend is doing this little reverse S. So you come out here as though you're doing the letter S, turn it back in, and then immediately turn it back to the right. And what that tends to do is almost make it perfect for you to hit that spot. As you can see, I'm coming up close to the wall. So what the people who are going straight do, they tend to wait too late and they slide off there to the left into the grass. So automatically I catch a lot of people just using that technique. While they're sliding and losing power, I'm already accelerating. So now if I accelerate here, and again, I want to come to the right-hand side now, widen that from the right-hand side, and literally try and straighten the corner as much as possible. Now what happens is people come straight down here, they do it terrifically, but as they go to turn sharply, they lose too much power. So they're sliding to the right, whereas I ease off. So I use the technique slow in, fast out. I ease off for the corner, ease off the accelerator, which turns the car into the left. And then as I come through the corner, now you can see here, I'm full speed on the accelerator. So again, we just want to try and straighten these points here. And my next tip here is that as you come at full speed, so you're at full speed now, what you want to do is just slightly lift off. See, now I have no accelerator down. By lifting off, that helps me turn in, and then I can turn into the corner, and now I hit the accelerator. So I'm almost at a straight line. I hit the accelerator, and that just helps again. Now, what was happening in the beginning is I was sliding off again to the left and hitting that wall all the time, and until I realised that I just have to ease off there. Now, this will be the first of 2 laps, so in the second lap I'll run at full speed and I'll just give you those things again, because it does look a bit weird in slow motion, but it just helps me get all that information out. Now, another tip here is that as you come into the corner, you want to brake for the corner, but I was always struggling again, sliding off to the left, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. And so what you need to do is a thing called threshold braking. So I brake now, I turn into the corner, but now if you have a look, there's a slight bit of red. So I hold the brake as I turn. I keep holding the brake, I'm turning in, and that stops the car sliding to the left now. And now you can see I'm accelerating out, and that then pulls more speed of the car forward than sliding to the left. And that's a good way of doing it. Now, for beginners, I recommend avoiding most of the curbs. Now, all the experts use the curbs to get more speed, but that will be in the next video. So what I recommend is just running to the edge of the curves, but don't run over them now. If you're a beginner, it's better to get used to the track, get your speed up, and then avoid anything that will throw you. You know, when I started, I used to hit the curbs and I'd just spin relentlessly. So now we just want to straighten these corners up. So I'll let this run, and we get to the next point. So here, what you want to do is you it's almost subliminal, but each gutter has almost a pull to it. So as we turn into the gutter here, we want to put our left wheel there into the gutter. And what happens now is there's this imaginary suction thing happening that the car helps keep you in that corner and just helps with your speed coming out of the corner. Again, slow in, fast out. So I slow down for that deliberately, and then I use the speed coming out rather than worrying about sliding off. Now, we'll let this run again. This is the long straight. So now all you want to do is get maximum speed up to this point. And now what you want to do here is take your foot right off the accelerator, because if you don't, you fly in the air and you tend to bounce. And so the second most common crashes are sliding off here to the left. So you ease off the accelerator here, but then again here as well. So let the car get grip, and then when you get grip, you can press the accelerator again and you go for this straight. Now this is one long straight, so you just keep to the left hand side here, try and hug the curb as much as possible. You're at full speed now, and here comes the next hard bit where there's this bump. So you want to take your foot off the accelerator, ease off that bump. As soon as you get over the bump, you can give it a bit of squirt to here, and then you see there's this change in the concrete from dark to light, and you want to brake a car length before that concrete and then prepare for this. So as I come into this, I brake and change down 2 gears to third, and again slow in, fast out. So what I do is I don't put any accelerator until I come into this corner, and then I am able to now accelerate without taking my foot off. So as I accelerate through the corner, I can have full speed down the hill, because now it's all downhill. And so you want that slow in, fast out to gain your speed down the hill. This is all technically a straight, but you just go to each curb here. And now you want to change down and balance yourself up for this very difficult set of corners. Now there's a particular way of taking this, so you want to change down preferably 2 gears. You come through this. I wouldn't hit this at this stage. As a beginner, it just spins you around too much and you lose control. When you get your confidence up, you can then go to the next video and I'll explain how better to take that. So what you do is you aim for this right hand edge of the corner. It's a very difficult corner to get right, but essentially you want to aim for that corner. You then, instead of turning left, because you end up in a slide, you actually aim for the right. So we now aim for the right here. We go out to the right here and try and meet this point here, all the while slowing down from third down to second, and then we turn in, and that makes us able to then hit that other curb right at its key point, and it just straightens you up as much as possible. If this seems confusing now, don't worry about it. I'll show you again at full speed and it'll make more sense. And then you can turn in again and hit this curb here. Just half speed, just let the car turn in without full acceleration. And as you come out and meet this curb, now you can ride this curb. Because this is a road car, this is the only curb that I would recommend going over. It won't throw you as long as you're straight. And then you can come down again and then you hit the full speed. So again, this is technically a long straight, but again, you just preferably hit each side of the curbs as you set it up. And now what you want to do here to go into this hard left is I ease off and I touch the brake with my foot, but I don't put hard brake on. So basically now I'm in the gear without acceleration, and what I do is, if you see the brake pedal here, I just have my foot gently on the brake, and I just let the car that's decelerating, because I'm not accelerating on the gas pedal, it'll naturally turn in, and then you can make the turn and then start accelerating as you get into the corner. Now, what you want to do here is change early. So I use this, there's like a white marker across this road, and that's how I determine where to brake. You want to brake early because, again, when you turn left, this is now all downhill. So you want to make sure you brake early here, 2 gears down, and then turn into that, again, into that gutter type turn that will suck you into the gutter, and then you can have a little bit of squirt of power, change up a gear here, and then immediately change back down again, because you can only take this next set of corners slowly. There is no real other way to go except to change down here, down to the 3rd gear, and then you want to, this is an example of the guidelines, is you want to do a half moon or a half circle. In other words, you turn in here, see my wheel, you hold that, and then you just hold that spot, and you just gradually turn, keeping that same wheel angle throughout the whole turn. And then you meet up now with the straight if you've held that perfectly through that corner. You start accelerating down the hill, and then you will take your foot off again here. Take it off here for balance, turn in. I've got no acceleration here whatsoever, and the car will naturally turn in. And then you meet the gutter, and it will help pull you in a little bit, and then you can start accelerating because now you're in a straight line. Now this is a set of 3 corners, and what I do is I change up to 1 gear, and then I change back down again so that I'm not sliding off to the left, and I just hit those gutters. And now this is the hardest turn probably, arguably, on the track. And what you need to do is, you are now in 4th gear, and you need to change down to 2nd for this very, very difficult left-hand hairpin. So my advice is to ease off and brake in 4th, and then what you want to do is you want to hit 3rd between 2 points, which is this curb here. So if you watch now, I change to 3rd between here and that next curb, and then from that next curb I change to 2nd. So I've slowed down my pace, slow in, fast out. I change to 2nd now, and now I do again the half moon, where I change the wheel to the left, and I just keep that constant speed throughout. It's just a gentle thing. I'm just correcting myself gently, and as I straighten up, then I can start to accelerate. Now another tip here is to actually change early. What I was doing as a beginner was I was holding 2nd through this, and now as I'm turning and I hit peak 2nd in the red, I would spin. So my advice is to change up early in 2nd gear there, and then go to 3rd, and then there's less wheel spin as you straighten up here. Now this next corner is virtually the same thing, but slightly less of a severe corner. So again, I'm in fourth, I come down. Now what I do here is I look for the white marker again across the road. It's about halfway down the road here. So I'm starting to brake. I then change here to the next gear down, third gear. But what I do here is, rather than go to the corner and turn, as soon as I change down to third here, I then turn in and change to second. And the idea is because what happens is as I turn in and change to second, see, I'm straightening. I'm trying to make a straight line out instead of turning sharply and spinning. So I try and make this as straight as possible. Here I ease up and try and drive out to the right hand side to make it as straight as possible, and that stops me spinning. And then what I do is, for beginners, I recommend now changing up. It just helps settle the car. And this is a very difficult thing. This is probably the most common corner that I span around on. So what I did was I started to realize now that if I turn in here and put my right wheels into this, again, this imaginary gutter next to the curb, it straightened me up, and then I could straighten the wheel out to the left, and it almost became a straight line. And it was so much easier, rather than turning and spinning, to try and make that a straight line. And then I was in the correct straight line to start accelerating right from the word go. So slow in, fast out, preparing, coming into that corner, and then now I can go full speed. Now this again is more or less a straight. It has a slight left bend, so you just move a little bit to the right and try and hit that apex. But here, this was another thing that threw me. So what I was doing was, it requires you to change down 2 gears. And I was doing that, but I was struggling to make the corner. And until I realized that what you need to do is change down 2 gears and then hold the brake down for a little while longer until you start to meet the curb. So if I do that in slow motion, I'm at full speed in 5th, I brake, I change down to 4th, I change down to 3rd, but then I was struggling still to meet the corner and sliding off to that barrier. So then I realized that as I change down to 3rd, I keep holding the brake. So I'm holding, waiting until I almost become behind the corner. And then it's what's called the late apex. And so then I start accelerating as I meet the corner. And then that gives me the slow in, fast out, so I can accelerate out of the corner, except I'm accelerating all the way. I don't have to take my foot on and off if I tried to turn in by changing down 2 gears and then immediately turning, and I haven't quite made the corner. So now I can accelerate at full speed all the way out to this, again, this long straight. Now this straight is a set of 3 left curves. So you have to come up to it. So what you do is you gradually move to the right, and then you have 3 left curves. So you hit them just 1, 2, 3, and then you'll have another curve, but it's a fair way away. So you drift to the right again, and then you meet that curb. And again, this is all full speed. This is essentially all one long straight. I tend to look for that white, there's a house there with a white barrier. I aim for that, and then I just hit the curbs again, and then you come to this crucial bit. So you set yourself up. This is a very hard corner, and you want to change down 1 gear for this, but you also want to ease off the power here and brake a little bit. So as you come in you are as far right as possible. You change down the gear and then you hit that apex. Now, admittedly, I'm not changing down here. I just realized, probably because I'm just so used to it. But for beginners, you want to change down to fourth to help balance you up, and then you don't slide off to the right. So you're trying to make everything a straight line, and that just helps you drive easier rather than trying to drive into the center of the corner. When I was doing my I did a skid control course at Calder here in Melbourne, and I was basically driving the centre of the road like this, and I would wait for the corner, and then I'd try and turn at the corner, and I would continually scrub my left wheel. I had to replace the wheel because I was sliding so much. So here, as an example, it's a slight right, so I ease off, I go all the way to the left as I can, and then I aim as if to make this as straight a line as possible. And that just helps you take all the sliding out of it, either left or right, and it just helps you stay balanced more so. Now, this is another difficult bit. This is the bit coming up to the carousel. So the way I do this is I brake looking at the marker here where that red gutter starts on the left hand side. So I start braking down, and this is the classic example of the half moon, or what I call half moon or half circle. So I want to change down 2 gears to fourth, and then change to third, and then change down to, I think I changed down to second. And then as I start turning, the idea is that you want to meet the straight at the other side. So I turn the wheel, and then I'm basically just holding that spot. So I'm readjusting now, and when I do the lap at full speed, you'll get to see better what I mean. But I'm just holding that corner, and see now I do like a half circle, and as I come out, I almost exactly meet the curb on the left in a straight line. So slow in, fast out. See, now I've got full power. I'm meeting that as a straight line, and now I can run all the way up to the carousel at full speed. And this is the important point, is although I brake earlier or slower coming into the corner, I actually carry more speed out because I don't have to take the foot off the accelerator. I'm actually, once I hit the accelerator, I'm almost always able to just hold it down and not have to reapply the accelerator. So this is another hard bit for beginners. It's the carousel, and it's a 3-step process. So you usually come up here in whatever gear you're in, and you're usually in fourth, and you will change down 2 gears. So what you do here is you change here to third, and what you want to do is be just above the carousel and literally fall into it. So I ease off. Now I've got no speed, so I fall into the carousel, and you cannot accelerate in the carousel. You get to a point where you get to a certain speed, and if you try and go faster, you'll just start to push up the carousel and you'll ruin your time. So when you fall into the carousel, whatever speed you're comfortably doing it in, just hold that speed. So if you look at my accelerator, I'm half speed, and I just carry that all the way through the carousel. But the point I'm trying to get to here is I want that point there where the white meets the black of the road. I want to try and get that point halfway in the middle of the car. So here, see, I meet it halfway, and see how that straightens up that corner. So rather than trying to turn sharply to make the corner, I make that a straight line. So once I ease off, then I can then slowly turn and I'm less prone to sliding off the road. So again, that just helps to try and straighten every corner that's severe. Now again, this is a fairly long straight, so all you want to do is hit the edges of the road. But for a beginner, this is probably the biggest difference, this set of corners, for a beginner to a person who's more advanced, and the changes that I made when I got used to it. So your tendency to slide off here is very great. So what you want to do here is, as you go to change down for this now very difficult set of corners, is you want to make sure you're in a straight line. So in other words, I try and straighten up, I try and slide or drive over to the right, and the goal for a beginner here is do not change down while you're turning. So what I do here for a beginner, or when I was a beginner trying to learn the track, is I made sure I was straight before I changed down. So I turn, I'm in a straight line now I change. Because what that does is that stops the car suddenly turning on you by changing down to a lower gear, and suddenly it kicks you out. So again, for a beginner, you're easing off the accelerator, you haven't got full accelerator. As you come to this next corner, again, now I'm in a straight line, I change down. And that just helps balance the car and takes the pressure off the car wanting to spin. So now I'm in third gear, and this is a very hard right-hand turn. So what I do is I give it a little squirt of power to get over this hill, and then I ease off with the power. See, now there I come off the accelerator, and all I want to do is balance myself. So no power, balance myself to turn in. Because you take your foot off, the car will naturally turn into left or right, whichever way you're going. And as you turn in, you can then get a better flow. So I'm straightening the line. I'm trying to make it a straight line out of that corner. And now this is going to sound like a very strange thing to say, but now this set of corners, when I was a beginner and I was struggling with this group of corners, so it's like left, right, left, right, left, right. So my advice is to change down in a pattern similar to music. And so you're changing down to third and then changing up to fourth. And as strange as this sound, you will find that experts can almost blanket out the gear and change by the engine note. Literally by the sound of the motor, they get used to when to change. And, I've got to that point too. So what you want is a kind of a like almost like a song. I know that sounds crazy, but it's amazing how you get used to that. So it's coming up to this set of corners. So again, this will be now left, right, left, right. So as you come down here, you change down. So this is slowing the car down now. I'll speed that up. And it's a down and then up. Slow down, down, and then as you get balanced, up. Slow down for the balance of the corner, turn in, and if you're comfortable, up. Slow down, turn in, no power, change up again. Now this corner is at a slightly, all those three corners tend to be the same as far as their angle. But this last corner, again right left, is slightly more difficult because it's on a sharper angle. So like if you are used to that pattern where it's that tune of the motor, you want to hold this one a bit further. So as you change down and it goes down, you just hold it a bit longer. So what tends to happen here, and this was the other problem corner where I slid off to the left, because I was taking it as a set of 4. And as you can see here, it turns sharper in. So if you suddenly put on the power before you get straight, you'll slide off into the sand. And so you would just hold this off a bit more. And now, again, you would change up here. But here there's this strange little bump in the road. And if you don't slow down a slight bit more, and you go to take off like you normally would in the previous 3 corners, you find that the back now starts sliding out and you'll spin around. So you have to ease off just that bit more. You could, if you felt comfortable, ride over this bump. This is the only other bump that sort of will help you, because see, it'll push you slightly left. And then you ease up gently. It can be a very difficult corner, so I'll show you in the next lap as we go full speed what I mean by that sound, and you'll get used to it. Now, as you come over here, this is another group of corners that has a particular pattern. Now, this becomes more or less like a straight line, straight, as in it has corners, but you want to try and just do the left, right, left thing. But this is a very difficult corner because it's like a jump. Now, for beginners, I recommend just staying in the middle of the road here if you can. And the idea is that I'll show you as we go. Actually, I'll press slow motion so you can see it. So what you want to do is a 2-pronged sequence. So you want to brake here, and then you see you go downhill. So you brake, you fall down the hill, and then you brake again, and then change down. Otherwise, you will carry too much speed and slide off into that sand there. So it's brake, go down the hill, brake again, and then turn. And that will give you enough speed, slow down then, to manage that turn. And then this section becomes another kind of downhill pattern. So you try and straighten yourself up again. I'll just speed that up. And again, the same thing. You want to take this from the left-hand side. And again, it's because it's another jump and you want to be on the left-hand side. I'll speed that up. And there, if you're on the left-hand side for that jump, then you're already in a straight line and you won't risk spinning around. So this is a set of corners that becomes like a long straight. Again, you just want to straighten this out. And this corner was another one that gave me a lot of trouble. This comes up to the second carousel and then is virtually the onto the straight of the finish line. So what I was doing was I was coming more into the right on this side, and I was having too much pace always and sliding off and hitting that left barrier. So I slowly figured this out. This was probably the hardest corner that I still have to be careful with. So the idea is you want to be in a straight line. You want to change down fairly early to kill all your speed. So from 5 to 4 to 3. And then you turn in and try and make it a straight line. So you turn in all the way from the left, which what I was doing wrong. I was in the center of the road and then sliding off to the left. So you want to be from the left, turn into that right. And again, this is another corner because of its angle. It's got a strange shape to it where I was constantly spinning. So you want to change down to 3 now, and even down to second, but hold off all your acceleration. Don't accelerate through. Your brain will say, yes, I want to accelerate, but the corner sharpens up here. And so this can trick you into accelerating too early, and I've done it many, many times. See, and now as I straighten up is now when I accelerate, and I am in a straighter line, and the tendency is not for the back wheels to kick out and spin you around. So I give a little bit of acceleration down here, so it's just a touch, it's just a quick change up to fourth, and then back down to third. Now, this carousel doesn't need a second gear. You can take it if you feel third has too much speed, you can change down, but you can change to third only if you let that left wheel there fall in. Again, you do the same thing. You come from above and fall in to the gap, and then you see how short it is, and then you can accelerate in a straight line out of that, rather than trying to do the whole corner on an angle and spinning around. So now we come up to the final corner, which is more or less again like a mini straight line. So you want to straighten it, and here again you have a sharp right that's going to lead on to the straight. Now you must, for a beginner, change down gears because it's deceiving the angle of this, and here you can easily slide off again. This is another one of those difficult ones where it looks like you can go faster, but you'll find you'll slide off. So you straighten that as far right as possible to the left, come over here, and then what you do here is, as you hit this is now coming onto the straight, the left side of this, you will start to accelerate, and you can slowly slide to the left. So the tip that I have is, it's like an on-off action. So you take your foot off the accelerator, you turn in now, so you see my accelerator now, as I'm turning in and tucking that right wheel in again into this almost subliminal gutter. Your car hooks up to that gutter, and now you can accelerate out of the corner. If you did that from before you hit the corner, you would start to slide off the road. And that's how now you come onto the straight, and you just, because this is the tourist version, the end of the lap ends halfway down this straight, and we drive now back into the pits. So I know that was a little confusing because everything is in slow motion and stop motion, but now what I'll do is I'll do that same lap at full speed without a pause, and I'll just repeat those short bits in the key points, and then you can watch the lap properly at full pace. So let's do that hot lap now. Okay viewers, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the full hot lap as normal, as I recorded it, and I'm just going to do shorthand comments over the top, just as to reaffirm those important points on certain corners. But for the most part, I'll just let the lap play out, and we'll see how it goes. So let's head off now. And so, just as a reminder, this might seem like such a little point, but here I'm going out, I'm ready to join all the other online drivers. I've come out of here, but I'm in first gear, and bang, there I go, round again. This happens to me so often, and it's just that little bit of advice to not go out in first gear until you get much more experienced with how hard to hit that accelerator as you go through that little gateway there. So I'm now in second gear. I'll still hit the limiter, But don't forget, my time won't start till I go under the bridge here. And now away we go. So we try and cut the corners as much as possible here. Pretty much a straight, you want to try and make this as straight as possible, with the idea now of going to the left hand side to prepare for this right corner. I change at the fence here. I change down to 4th and then to 3rd, and I try and straighten this up. Now I do the little backwards S here, just I go right, left, right, and that brings me perfectly onto the straight. It's much better way to make sure you are hitting that corner nice and tight. So I come now from the right hand side to the left again to straighten. Now I'm trying to go full speed down the hill here, but I know there's this sharp little right. So as I get here, I take the accelerator off, see the car turns in, beautiful. Okay, now I come down and I want to change down 2 gears, but I want to make this straight, so I hold the brake here, turn in, that's it, let the brake go, and now I accelerate. It just eases the car into that corner. Don't worry about riding these bumps. They're not important until you get more experience. I look for a long white line here, and that's when I start to brake, and I'm trying to hook the left wheel into this gutter now, that's it. And that'll give me full speed, slow in, fast out. I get the full speed here. I know there's going to be a right coming up, so what I want to do is I want to take off the accelerator here for the jump, take it off, and then take it off a little bit again to help the car turn to the right and not slide off to the left. Now it's just a dead straight thing to the next set of corners. I just want to try and maximise it by staying to the left here. Now there's this little jump, not this one, but the one after. You can take this full speed, but here is a bump. So ease off the accelerator, turn in, let it jump over that jump, a little bit more gas and brake before that change where it goes lighter concrete. Try and hook this corner, let the car turn in, and now accelerate out of the corner. Slow in, fast out. Straighten up this is just all again one straight, but you want to be prepared for this strange set of corners and change down early to balance yourself here. So I change down a gear to 5, I balance myself up, and then I try and hit this right hand side, but I go straight to the other end here, and then I turn in, and that eases me out onto this straight. Again, no acceleration, just ride the curb if you need to. You don't have to, but if you need to, it's there to help you get back onto the straight. And now what you want to do is you want to set up for this left. So you take your foot off the accelerator, touch the brake gently, go into the corner, and make sure you brake early here. Down 2 gears, hook in again to that gutter. I change up so I don't get wheel spin. I change early there so I don't get wheel spin, and then change back down to 3rd. Half moon, just hold that turn as you turn in. I'm going to go to the left here and again take off the accelerator, let it turn in, that's it. And now give it a short squirt of another gear, a higher gear, but then change back down for this set of 3 corners. And now what I want to do is build my speed up here, but change from 3rd between these 2, so down to 3rd between these 2, and then down to 2nd. Again, half moon, just gentle. I change early here so that as I come around and I don't get wheel spin around this corner. I again look for a mark halfway across the road here, down to 3rd, and then try and turn in and straighten up for that gear. And then I want to hook this gutter again, and then ease off to the left, and see that straightens up the hill and makes it so much easier to get over that hill without spinning the car. This is more or less a straight. Now this is the one where I change down 2 gears but hold the brake to better access behind the corner. So brake, change down, but keep holding the brakes there, and then I turn in and I come from behind the corner, and then from that point, slow in, fast out, I can accelerate all the way up this bit. So this is now the 3 lefts. I wander a bit over to the right and then move over to the left. So the first, the second and the third, and then there'll be a fourth, but you can ease off to the right here. So to straighten up that fourth, see, so now it's more like a straight line. And now I'm flying down this straight here. So again, it's just maximizing left to the right, you know, just making it as straight as possible. But here I want to change down and balance up. So I take the foot off, balance up, turn in. You would, as a beginner, you would change down to fourth. I keep forgetting, I'm used to it now. But again, ease off the accelerator, let it turn in, that's it. Now this is to the carousel and this is the half moon. So change down 2 gears to prepare, and then change down to second, and then start turning and just hold that turn. Just keep holding, and then you'll straighten up exactly with the straight line of the gutter. And now up 2 gears, and now you want to do this 3-peat sequence. So fall into the carousel, hold the speed, and then look for that point at the end of the white there and put it in the center of the car, and again you're in a straight line. So you're coming out as a straight line, you're trying to stop any kind of spinning of the car. Now again, this is the hard bit coming up to the corners. So when you change down for this, wait till you're in a straight line, now change down. Again, turn the corner, wait till you're in straight line and change down. And now ease off the accelerator. Again, that will bring the car naturally to the right or left when you take the foot off the accelerator. And now you want this tune. So you want the down, up tune. So again, you change down, turn in. When you feel balanced, you change up. Change back down again. It helps settle the car. Turn the corner and then change up. Again, the third one, change down, balance the car, half moon again. So you just turn that half moon shape, turn up, balance the car, again change down, change up. Now this is the fourth one that's sharper. So when you change down now, you hold it a bit more, straighten yourself up and then change up. Again, you've got this little strange bump here, so you change down but you hold it a bit longer and then straighten up and use that curb to help you straighten up. Now this is the jump down where you want to brake twice. So you look for the jump down, so you brake here, fall down, brake again and then turn in. Again, it's more or less like a half moon, half circle, just gently around that corner. Straighten up this is another jump down, so be on the left side and you'll be able to straighten it up. See, so from the left you go to the right and then to the left and then to the right. You're trying to straighten everything up. Now this was the difficult corner for me, so don't be in the centre of the road, be on the left here and then change down 2 gears and turn in, that's it. And then change down, now again in a straight line, and get ready for this second carousel. Now this can be the third gear, not the second, so you can take this a little bit faster, but just be careful. Again, fall into that carousel. And now we're coming down to the final straight. Remember to ease off the accelerator, let it turn in and then give it accelerator as you start to come on the straight. As you turn in, if you're sliding off, ease off the accelerator, turns in and now you accelerate again. Slow in, fast out, beautiful. You can hit the power at full speed and you don't have to take your foot off. Now that's where the finish line ends, so I'm just basically going into the pits, but that's a great example. Whenever you do the slow in, fast out, you want to hold the brake or steady the car and turn so that as you get into the corner to accelerate out, once you accelerate, you don't have to take your foot off. And I promise you that can be a lot faster than when you turn in early and accelerate and then have to ease off again. The car keeps sliding, so you ease off, you brake, you're turning more and more and you're sliding and you lose all your speed. Slow in, fast out. I hope that helps. As you get more advanced, please check out the third video for more tips on how to go a little bit quicker. And I'll catch you next time. Alright, see ya.